podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Ospreys Eyrie.
Hello and welcome back to the Ospreys Eyrie podcast, the podcast who is deeply apologetic for taking a week off. I was just simply doing some Photoshop that night, simply playing around with Photoshop.
Who were you photoshopping onto Max Nagy's body?
It was Kate Middleton. I was photoshopping Kate Middleton and Max Nagy. I've soft launched Kate Middleton's new boyfriend, and it is Max Nagy.
Max Nagy's the real missing English royalty that we need to be talking about. Where's he been?
We all hear about like Prince Harry and stuff like that playing rugby, but like, and they obviously they have to say they were good because no one's going to say, Prince Harry was an awful flanker. William was a one-dimensional 12. He was simply he was a terrible crashball 12. But were they actually any good?
So, Prince William played in the same school team as Frank Turner, the singer, which tells you a lot about both of those people separately. But I want to watch a game with those two playing. Especially if the schools, I wonder if anyone went on to play like championship level there.
Does Prince William know the 1-3-3-1? Does he understand the Sexton loop? That's what I want. Oh, because of Princess Anne, I honestly reckon Princess Anne could be an analyst.
Oh yeah, Princess Anne loves it.
But she's seen the highs and lows of it. She's seen like obviously the Duan and Russell days, and then she's seen the Marcus Derolo and Phil Godman days as well, as we've established.
Yeah, she's dead into it. She's the only one of the royals that seems properly into it. Oh no, actually Prince Harry likes it. Yeah,
but she'd properly say like when Finn's having a bad game, he was like, "Oh, do you know what? Phil Godman would have kicked that." He was ever reliable. Yeah, where's Dan Parks?
Chris Patterson, 100% record.
Yeah, true.
Broke that world record once.
True.
Bring him back.
Probably writes to him every now and then. Just can you come back? Oh, instantly, what a shambles. Right. Apologies for last week. Life just got in the way for all of us. Robbie had internet celebrity stuff, as we've established, with the new Welsh Rugby YouTube Bowling League.
Yeah. I go beyond Welsh rugby. I go all the way through. Zoella was there. Bo Burnham. Who else are YouTubers? Mr. Beast. He's a YouTuber.
Mr. Beast. Yeah. Mr. Beast is in Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah. My full list of like YouTubers I watch is one man with a very deep voice who talks about old Nintendo games, and that is it. And Rian Lowe. Rian Lowe was there. Good stuff.
They're the two people I watch. It's Rian Lowe and the deep man with
deep voice Nintendo man. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Yestin, you were doing well. Actually, you were the only one available.
Yeah, I think I was, but it would have felt really weird recording me talking to myself when that's normally the case on many weekday evenings, especially surrounding Welsh rugby. But I just thought, do you know what? I just don't want to record it, and everyone else was busy, so I thought may as well have to give this week a miss.
Did I actually tell you two what I was doing?
No,
I don't think I did.
No.
I work in education. I was part of the backstage crew for the school's production of Our House, the musical.
Oh wow!
Which, if you don't know, Our House is the Songs of Madness, which is like an insane show, right? It is mad, and the plot is awful, but the actual songs are brilliant. So I sort of spent 5 hours from Tuesday to Thursday doing this backstage tech stuff, and it was great fun.
Were you doing the costumes? Were you sorting the baggy trousers?
No, I didn't. I did. I
Were
was.
you doing,
I was on.
were you doing the choreography? Were you doing the one
I
steps
was on
beyond?
props. No, well, they do
I can do
in
this
the
all day.
in the choreography. They do, and it comes back to Gavin and Stacey when they're doing the the up and down and all that. And that is genuinely part of the choreography. And when they're doing like Welcome like Lion's Den and House of Fun, and then they do then they get into the really niche stuff like Night Boat to Cairo and Wings of a Dove, and you're like NW5. And this if anyone's listened to rap on Monday, and you would have heard me go through my record collection, and that's a highlight in itself. But it's just reinforced my love of the songs that are definitely not in my era.
My dad was so into Madness that I think my early years led me to believe that knowing about Madness would be an important skill in life. And turns out it isn't.
Well, for years, I think all 6 people are at the Liberty Stadium when the Ospreys were like breaking try scoring records. The song they play after every try is Baggy Trousers.
One Step Beyond was there for a while, wasn't it?
One Step Beyond. So every time like Dan Evans will score a try, you just hear Madness, and you're like, this is the song synonymous with the Ospreys there. Why are we trying to make this a thing? But then I go back and listen to it. Like, I watched the highlights of the Montpellier game at home. Ospreys went through a phase of playing Harry Styles after every try. Yeah. And I just, it's the guy who's doing the music in the stadium okay? I just want to know, is he still finding himself? What other songs can we have when we score tries?
Well, because the Back in Black's the only one that stuck, really.
Well,
over a long period.
Right. I have a theory on this, right? Because we have 3, right? So we had Back in Black for years, which I loved. I thought was the best one. Then we went to TNT, which we've got now. But for a while, we also had Triple H's theme song from WWE, which is Motorhead, if people don't know, and it was perfect. Like, it's, I'm not going to do it, but it's like, it's time to play the game, and you're like, oh my god, this is absolutely perfect. And I got visions of like Triple H wearing Ospreys jersey at like a house show in Cardiff. But and we should have more coaches coming out to wrestling theme songs. Like, going back to the Edinburgh game, like, I know we're not going to talk about it because it's traumatic, but Toby Booth is walking out when the music's coming out, and it looks like he's like a manager or someone coming into the Royal Rumble who's not been announced. Yeah. And he's just walking out like waving to the crowd as it goes past. He's about to hit his finisher as Sean Everett, the most boring man in the world. His finisher's called Finding a Way. He takes that playbook he has and he just like hits it over the head with a steel chair, like a steel chair. Oh,
it's perfect. It's perfect. We need to make it happen.
That started with me talking about Madness.
Toby Booth would be really easy to make on one of those like noughties wrestling games on PS2.
100%.
He is the proper size and build and everything that you want in that game.
He's got got to have the wrestling singlet, but the one strap one.
Yeah.
With black old school rugby boots, and he's got massive calves as well. So you've got to give him like the widest calves possible, and a notebook or a clipboard. Yes.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
So that started with me talking about Madness and the musical. And we've ended with Toby Booth in mid-noughties wrestling games. So apart from that, news-wise, again, a bit thin on the ground in news, but the main ones being Lewis Lloyd has re-signed. The young Treorchy hooker has put pen to paper on a new deal. Obviously rose to prominence in that under-20s team last year in the summer. Probably a really underrated part of that squad, actually. When you've got Morse, Edwards, Bradley, Hennessy, Ackerman.
Because he'd sat on the bench during the Under-26 Nations with Sam Scarf starting. He'd been fantastic. Because they only did alliterative hookers last year. And
as anyone should, by the way.
Absolutely. Then over the summer when Mark Jones came in, he clearly really rated Lewis Lloyd. And he clearly carried that over, having come to the Ospreys now as well. Because he took that shirt and he was really good over the summer. And then, got his chance in that first game of the season against Connacht to make his debut, and has played, a bunch of games since. It's been
six games now, I think. So yeah, it's nice to have that young players in there.
Mm.
I feel like we've always had a core of young hookers in the squad. If you think back to Even, Scott, Sam Parry wasn't old when we signed him. He was still quite young when we signed him. Back in 2013, 14, whatever it was. But then having that, aside with the likes of Ethan Lewis and Dewi Lake is still only 24.
Yeah.
So it's just really nice to have, and he's a really dynamic player. Still got a lot to learn, so as we saw up in Edinburgh. Yestin, thoughts on that?
Yes, it's nice to see another youngster staying in the region. Toby Booth mentions it every week that it's the second crop of players now that are coming through. And, James just mentioned Dewi Lake, and this is like the next crop. You've got the likes of Lloyd, Edwards, Morse, and, it's good to see them all coming through. And this, all right. The Edinburgh game wasn't perfect, but I don't necessarily think that the lineouts that were rather vital weren't really his fault. But it's still good to see another youngster coming through.
Yeah. And also, you saying Toby Booth said something reminded me of something that happened on Saturday that collectively we all gasped at. Do you know what I'm referring to? Before the game, what Mr. Sam Warburton said.
Oh,
but on Saturday, I was
Sunday. Sorry, Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. Sam Warburton uttered the words "time in the saddle," and it confirms that either Sam Warburton is an avid watcher of Ospreys press conferences, or he listens to the Ospreys Diary podcast, and I'm choosing to say that he listens to the Ospreys Diary podcast because
he's followed my work in the past. Yeah. I'm sure he's after my best work, which is tonight's podcast.
He signed up.
He
signed up to the Blood and Mud Patreon just to listen to Robbie's Rugby Life.
I don't remember doing that at all. All I remember about that is when we finished recording, Lee saying to me, "You're very honest, aren't you?"
I think I listened to that in my university library.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
No, all I remember, if all you remember from recording something is being told you're very honest, it's like, oh, what did I say in that? I daren't listen back. That's an aside. Yestin, sorry, you were saying something, and we cut you off for nonsense.
I was just going to humbly brag and say that I did meet him.
Oh man,
a couple of years ago, and so it could easily be the latter, but I probably think it is the former.
I don't know if he does remember me from the Aberavon Beach Hotel where I met him, Paul James, and Andy Powell, who did a Q&A thing there. There's some stories from that night, but I do have a photo with Sam somewhere. I think it's on my Instagram of me. So he's a lovely man, like a really nice man. And he got bullied into drinking by Paul James and
really,
because he was on coffees, and then he kept getting ribbed every question. He was like, "Yeah, but you're not drinking, are you?" So he literally called down to someone, like, "Can you bring me a pint of Stella, please?"
Am I the only person here that hasn't met Sam Warburton?
Yeah,
seemingly.
Unless there's anyone else in the room.
Yeah, what a day! What a anti-brag that is.
Is he the nicest player I've met?
Brian Habana for me. Brian Habana is so nice, like oppressively nice.
Slow to turn.
This is the thing, right? I was really slow to turn. My internet connection broke during it, and Brian Habana stood by the whole thing when I had spoke to him on Zoom. I almost went into a Brian Habana tangent about how nice he is. I did 2 interviews with him, and then I met him briefly in person in Twickenham after the Premiership final a few years ago, and he is really lovely. Ugo Monyi is very nice as well. He called my mum to wish her a happy birthday.
Yes, then who's the nicest player you've met? Don't say Morgan Morse because you went to school with him.
That goes my answer because he genuinely is a good person to speak to as well.
Okay, Morgan Morse. He was really nice to me in double geography. But let me a pencil.
Well, we weren't in the same school year, so we never actually got into lessons with each other, I suppose. It's probably as Sam Warburton thinking about it. But
what about Roger Lewis? You were in the Ghost Choir together.
Yeah, he's a good mate, and yeah, he's all right. He has his fair, used to have his fair moments while studying A-level drama together, which was rather.
My God, Roger Lewis in A-level drama. This is perfect.
And
he was in the Ghost Choir and in A-level drama.
But yeah, I think probably Sam Overton in terms of kindness is probably just on top.
I think Sam's up there. Jeff Hassler and Eli Walker were really nice.
Jeff Hassler's Canadian. That doesn't count.
Yeah, that is true. But Dimitri Arhip was also lovely.
Okay.
He shook my grandfather's hand. That we were in the club shop. And he was buying kit for all his family in Moldova. And he literally was he was on FaceTime, got the size, hung up, and just took about 3 kits off the shelf. I was just going to send them all back to Moldova. Who else? Mafu Fia was lovely. He was with his family, so I didn't really say hi much. But he was buying pasties for all his family in the market, which is the most Mafu Fia. James King was nice. But you can get that he's got big, just nice. Ben John.
Ben John is lovely. Ben John's wonderful.
Is one of the
he's a great
nicest
guy.
men. But he's also, if you watch his videos, right, and he talks quite loudly, he also talks like that in real life as well. I had a conversation and I nearly fell down the stairs at the brewery field because he was just talking so loud. So please calm down. The other one would be Jack Morgan.
Okay.
Really nice guy. Really nice. So that's Lewis Lloyd re-signing everyone.
Presumably will be added to this list one day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure he's a lovely guy.
Because currently he's a bastard. He'll get nicer.
Damn it, Lewis.
No, he seems lovely. He's also I had this conversation with, this was an observation of Josh Gardner of Blood and Mud. He's inexplicably incredibly handsome.
I've said this from the start.
Why is he that almost movie star hot? What is that all about? He's a hooker.
Handsome man ever.
Yeah.
I saw him at that under-20s World Cup, and I was like, hang on a minute now. This he is the most handsome person I think I've seen at this side of. And he wears that headband, and he's just he's got that olive tan skin.
We need a tight head to go alongside him and Alan Dell in the most handsome front row competition.
But Tom Bota's very handsome.
Tom Bota, yeah, solid. Yeah.
I give my props to my boy from Stellenbosch. He's a handsome guy. In terms of tight heads, I'd say he's the most handsome tight head in Wales.
Sure, okay.
I mean,
but Alan Dell is one of those things, right? You don't think about it. Then you see a photo of him in a suit, and he is unbelievably handsome, especially for a loose head prop.
Yeah, that's true. What are the handsome? There's no 3 handsome props, is there?
No, it's a tight category.
Not Stephen Kitsoff. No, he's got high blood pressure. I can't think.
Rhys Henry, of course.
Well, yeah, but that's raw sex appeal. That's not classic handsomeness. That's animalistic pheromones.
Yeah, hence his Elvis learnings.
Yeah, exactly.
His studies.
Handsome props. Tweet us with your handsome props. I want my mentions flooded with handsome props. Andrew Millwood.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm joking.
Hey, no.
Not bully.
Hey, whatever floats your boat.
That's gonna bug me now. I'm gonna pop up with random Thomas Dutoy at some point. So. Okay, Vincent Koch. He's not. He's handsome, but he'd be a villain and a henchman in a movie. Handsome.
He's got big Bond henchman vibes.
Yeah,
he's the
Jaws,
henchman
with bleached hair.
Yeah, he's the henchman to Fabien Galtier's Bond villain.
The only thing he's a villain to is the referees and discipline everywhere. Oh, right. Departures. Jack Regan has joined Shockey Shuttles in Japan, which is a shame. because it never really worked out for Jack. He had horrible luck with injuries and just sort of never kicked on. Had real promise, and I think the times he did play, I don't think he ever put a foot wrong. To be honest, I remember that Zebra game. We went out there and we scored that lovely first phase try with Harry Deeves. Was the second phase try we flashed back with Harry Deeves in that first one, and then Tian Thomas Wheeler for 5 minutes looked like a world-beating centre. And Jack Regan played 6 in that game, and he looked. There's something about him, but just injuries and everything. I just don't think it ever worked out for him. So good luck to him. He's a really nice guy. He's out there with Tian Thomas Wheeler. I think Freddie Burns is at Shuttles as well.
Okay.
So yeah, I hope it all works out for him. He's by all accounts was a well-liked member of the squad.
Yeah, Freddie Burns is there. Tian Thomas Wheeler. Oh, James Gaskell. Remember future England captain James Gaskell, as he was always known. He's their co-captain.
He was Wasps captain for years, wasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I have always heard of him as future England captain James Gaskell. Because that is how he was referred when he was at Sale, when he was at Wasps. Oh, man.
God, James Gaskell, good player.
Good player. But yeah.
It'd be fun one day to go through them Japanese clubs and just be like, oh my God, do you remember him?
You say one day, like, this isn't all meme will do.
You say that. Did you see there's a half Welsh, half Japanese player?
No.
In Japan.
Really?
His name is Richard Go Jones.
Oh, that's good.
I'm going to find the tweet and put it in the WhatsApp for later because it is. But unfortunately, Japan don't do dual nationality. So if you're born in Japan, you're considered Japanese.
Right.
So, if we want to bring him over, where is it? Here it is. I'm putting the tweet in the WhatsApp, so you can look at it at some point and maybe go like, "Oh my God!" So yeah, Jack Regan's gone to Show Shuttles. Other news wise, Ospreys were in Bristol today, the home of the Bears, and trained with them. Some of the photos from that to give us some indication on who's back in training. So, from the photos we see, Weston Hopkins is back in training. He's not back in training, but Jean-Louis Rudolph, right? Looks huge, and I love that. But he's wearing this training top that looks exactly like the black and gold Ospreys kit from back in the day. And now I yearn for that kit. And I just yearn to see Philo Tia running at someone in that kit.
Oh, I know.
It also confirmed not Jack Regan. Tristan Davis is back. Hugh Sutton and Max Nagy all picture training. So that'll be a huge boost to Munster having the likes of Nagy, Sutton to add that depth. There's also a photo of Pat Lam talking to Toby Booth. And I want to know what them two are talking about because I guarantee it's not rugby. What are they talking about? The dogs, yeah. Toby Booth does tweet a photo of his dog, and I do get giddy.
This is it, yeah. I think Murphy's available for selection as well. Murphy Booth.
Yeah, Murphy Booth. As I put on X, classic Fetcher, open side, spotless discipline record because he is the goodest boy.
He truly is.
So yeah, it's just good to see getting numbers that slowly back up, and hopefully, we did come out of that Edinburgh game injury free, which is not something we can normally say about an Ospreys team. Yeah, and now we move on to a bit more of a somber bit because on just after the Wales team was announced today, and we'll talk about the Wales team. Oh, actually, before I do that, under-20s, Roger Lewis gets a start, Morgan Morse gets a start, Cian High gets a start. Fantastic. Go well, boys. But on the more somber note, George North announced his retirement from international rugby after the Italy game on the weekend. So we sort of decided when planning Good Player this week to actually take a look at all 15 of George North's tries in Ospreys colours So George North made his debut at home against Edinburgh in 2018. I was at that game yesterday. Were you?
I wasn't. I was doing something on the Friday night, but the
You
game
fake fan.
the game was streamed on YouTube, so you could like kind of catch like the second. Well, from about 30 minutes in, the Pro 14 decided to put it on YouTube for no apparent reason. So I managed to catch like all the second half.
So before I actually get into like the George North, almost like obituary, right? I went and watched. So Robbie sent the list of the tries. So I went and found them all. It just shows to show like the URC highlights are bad, right? They miss a load of things, and I often click on one. I can't remember it, and Robbie's left a comment on it to say, "Gee, I sure wish I could watch some of the actual rugby in this." Because like, a good 45 seconds of it is just the team walking out and kick off, and then it just skips over like 3 penalties.
There's one clip the Pro 12 posted. Oh, these are spoilers for the era. Posted once that I think we left a comment from the Squid Rugby account with the if anyone finds this, we'll give them a prize if they claim it. Because they uploaded the most pointless rugby highlights clip I've ever seen in my life, and I looked at it and it was, in delight at how bad their social media coverage was at the time. And this is going back quite a while, but yeah, it was delighted. If anyone finds that prize is still active, whatever it was.
I seriously, if Ruddy Data was running that highlights again, they'd be the most popular.
Ship shape.
So
Stephen Benjamin Coles.
Stephen Benjamin. So I went through all this. So there's one against the Scarlets that doesn't exist on the actual Pro 14 highlights. They've just left it out.
Really?
And so I went to the comments and they were like, guys, you've missed a try here. And someone replied saying, you have to actually go on the Ospreys version of the highlights to get it, as if it's like a paid exclusive or something like that. It's a DLC.
Yeah.
There's one again against the Scarlets where for the first 45 seconds, it's the teams walking out and kick off. And you can hear Sean Hawley's voice in the background. But all you can hear is the director giving the cues on the TV. So it's like go match graphic, cut to camera 2 or something. Just like, God, how did we ever survive as a sport this long? Oh, it's awful. But I also miss what I also miss is that one guy they clearly locked in a room all day and was forced to do 2-minute commentaries on all the games. And he was the most boring man ever. I think he's related to Sean Everett, actually. Has just been the most boring man. Right, so Yeston, talk to me about George North in general, not just as an Osprey, but what is he to Welsh rugby, and where does he rank in that pantheon of greats?
Probably up there with one of the best, if we're being honest. Over 120 international caps and a couple of Lions tours to boot as well. You're thinking, there's not much more he could have achieved, and okay, maybe his time with the Ospreys maybe not has been as maybe as good as his days with Wales, but as in terms of every time he played with a Welsh shirt on, he was always pretty up there in terms of one of the players to either watch or one of the players that were playing very well. Even if Wales were having a bit of an off day, you just expect North to maybe just turn up and run over a few defenders and potentially score a try, which he was pretty good at. And it feels like his debut wasn't that long ago. Then you realise, oh my word, that was 14 years ago. And obviously that 2 tries against Africa on debut was pretty special. And it's maybe a little bit of a surprise. Maybe he's called it now. Obviously, Warren Gatland said before the Six Nations that they were hoping that he could make a 5th World Cup, which would have been pretty remarkable. And he's still only 31. But then again, you want a couple of years out in France and get a nice wedge of money, then who's going to complain with someone that's given so much to Welsh rugby that he just enjoys the time out in France.
And Robbie, so talk to me about your relationship with North over the years.
Yeah, I think it's made me feel very old. The fact we're a few days out from seeing George North play his last game for Wales, same as Dan Bigger in the World Cup. Players I remember seeing kind of the first generation of players I remember seeing come through as a fan and going, oh, these are really interesting, promising youngsters. And now they're at the end of their career. And that's genuinely quite moving. I didn't know what to do with myself for sort of 20 minutes after that. I couldn't quite get my head around the fact that I'm about to watch George North play for Wales for the last time. Because he has, as Yeston was saying, he's a proper legend of the game. He ties into Wales' second top try scorer of all time. You felt if he had made it that World Cup, he may have taken Shane Williams' record. He's I think 5 or 6 behind. So it's entirely possible he breaks it this weekend. Let's be optimistic. But yeah, I think as well the way in which he has adapted and changed over his career, the way in which he's had several periods where people wrote him off, or people felt this was, the end of it, and he's always come back. He's always found a way back, and he's always found form again. And those first few years of the Ospreys, he was fantastic. He came in out of nowhere. He then had a drop in form, and when Toby Booth came in, they rebuilt his confidence and they rebuilt him into a brand new player. And he started to turn into that 13 role that we've seen him play so well for Wales in the last couple of years. And he has consistently overcome challenges. He had that long run of concussions. He's had all sorts, and he's found ways to keep himself alive and fresh and playing at the top of his game. Every time he's had a dip in form, people have written him off, and then he's come back again. And so I kind of look at it and go, well, is this it? Is this the end? There's a bit of me in denial and going, well, he'll come back retirement in 2 years' time when he leaves Provence. When Provence loosen up on perhaps, you wonder whether, considering the way Tom Francis was encouraged perhaps not to play for Wales in the Six Nations, whether there's a similar thing happening since he's playing in the same club. But I don't know. If this is it, which we're led to believe it absolutely is, then it's been a hell of an innings, and just one of, again, I never met him, but one of the seemingly nicest and most entertaining to watch be interviewed players as well.
You just don't realize how much you love a player, I think, until you get to that end. And I remember the day Tips retired from international rugby, and I was working in a school in Neath, in a special education school in Neath, and I was at a bus stop on my way home, one of the 2 buses I had to get home that day, and I just remember Alan Wynne retired, and then 53 minutes later, Justin Tipuric retired, and it honestly felt like a piece of that childhood had been ripped out, because they were your favourite players. And I remember being in school during that 2011 World Cup and sort of that 2010 bit as well. And there was this freak 18-year-old kid. And I remember a year later talking to my rugby coach, and he said, "Oh, I took my eldest son up to mid Wales to play a game against the North Wales team. And there was this kid just kept running through us at centre. So he went up to him at the end of the game and said, 'Son, you're amazing.' He went up to his coach and said, 'Who is this kid?' He was like, 'This is George North.' And he just knew at that point that this kid would be special. And I think as a winger, you're often expected to be really one-dimensional and just score tries. And I think George was peddled with that for years. And be like, he's just a big, strong lad who scores tries. But like a 10 who's maybe gone through 3 different playbooks, he's adapted his game to anything, to anyone and anything. He's adapted his game. He's shown that he can, I think back on some of the tries like that one in the 2013 Lions test, the first one, where he takes that ball from deep, steps Berwick Barnes, and then puts the finger up to, was it the first or second test?
First test,
yeah. He puts the finger up to Courtney Beale. Well, it's not the finger I would have put up to Courtney Beale. I would have put up, a couple of different ones. That's for Lou Reed. That's a niche one for people who don't understand why that's for Lou Reed.
I know Robbie does. I've tried to
Yes, it does as well.
He hates Perfect Days. Just hates that album so much.
Yeah, but you think, but then just the absolute finishes that he's able to do, like that one in Dublin in 2012, where he takes 3-4 players over the line. He is that blueprint for that winger, And I genuinely think that behind Alan Wynne-Jones, he is Wales's most important player. Of that modern era, of that professional era, actually, I'd say he is Wales's most important player. Because without him, we don't have the Grand Slams or the championships or the good moments. I strongly believe that 2013 Wales team is for me nigh on perfect. Right? There's no one that can come close to that 2013 Wales team. That is the Wales team to me. Just like someone says, like the '88 team for Wales or the 70s Grand, all them teams are their Wales teams. That 2013 one is my team. Like, I want peak Cuthbert and peak George North on my wings. Like, there's a reason that it's just like every time you think he's finished, he came back. He was like the Lazarus Kid, and then he signed for the Ospreys. And look, I've had my problems with George and the Ospreys. Right, he's been really frustrating, especially towards the end, because he's played 48 games, scored 15 tries, and you're like, God, he could have been so much more. Yeah. And it almost felt like, he was great at Northampton at the start, and then the concussions and everything. You just think, if we had him a bit healthier, if we had him when he still had the pace, and things like that, God, what we could have done with him. And it's been frustrating, but ultimately, I just sort of feel nothing but joy.
Yeah.
Of him. He's a nice guy. He's, and he retires at 31, a legend of the game. Right.
Yeah.
So, in honour, we've gone through all 15 of his tries. So, how do we want to do it? Do you want to do it a try each? Should we go? Should we go like Robbie do one, Yestin do two, I'll do three, and then keep going in that order? Or do you just want to talk about them? So, Robbie, you start us off. It was your list. So, his debut try.
So this was the big one, wasn't it? It was I think it was the second game of the season.
First game.
It was the very first game of the season, right? George North had signed. There'd been a lot of talk around it beforehand. During the Six Nations that year, there'd been a kind of will he, won't he? Will he go to the Ospreys? Been some talk from the Dragons, and Cardiff had also been after him, and he decided to go to the Ospreys. And he joined, and he was named in the team, and he runs out for his first game, and immediately, what was it, maybe 20 minutes in to that first game, he finds himself... it's in the second half. I apologize.
Yeah.
58 minutes. But yeah, it'd been a fairly tight game up until that point. There hadn't been a try scored. And yeah, the score at the time was 6-3 to Edinburgh. And George North finds himself wide on the end and runs in for his first try.
Just so much to unpack from this game already. Right, actually, because it's the same game yesterday, do you want to take us through a second try?
I was going to maybe bring an earlier point in that Dan Evans did have a try disallowed in the first half.
He did.
Due to everyone's favourite Irishman, John Lacey, who was in the middle.
That was my point to bring up. I was like, the bastard in the middle was John Lacey.
And then was it about 10 minutes later? It was 67, 68 minutes. I think.
Yeah, 68 minutes.
And then, so I think it comes from a James King turnover, actually, if memory serves me correctly. It might not have been on the Pro 14 highlights, but the ball gets chipped out wide, and North just runs around everyone like he normally does, and runs it in from about 60 meters. And it was kind of like a really big score, because you just felt like you just need that extra score just to maybe get further away from quite a close game against Edinburgh. So yeah, it's quite a nice debut to have. Scoring the braces was pretty impressive.
I remember the feeling of shouting "Yes, George" for the Ospreys kicking into me. I remember that feeling of being like, "Oh, I'm so used to saying this for Wales. I'm so excited to say it when he's wearing black as well."
I was, for his debut, I'm sure I was there. It was in August. I hadn't gone to university yet. But for me, there's a lot of things I like about this. Right, it's one of the best kits we've had. I loved that kit. That the black with the white sleeves, there's like little sort of black white stripes on it. So this was the infamous coaching team of Alan Clark, Matt Sherratt, Brad Davis was still there as well, kicking about. This was the Cowboy team. And we also had an obsession with starting Luke Price over Sam Davis.
Yeah.
Which is the most criminal act, heinous act, I think, known to man.
Well, Price went off injured in the first half. After about half an hour, he had a really serious knee injury.
He did.
Ruled him out for the entire season, I think.
That second try for me, it comes off of Sam. It's like a turnover. The Edinburgh player just passes it into someone, and Sam Cross just picks it up. This was peak Sam Cross, by the way, with full arm guard and bright red scum cap. Peak Sam Cross. And Dan Evans plays a lovely, like, flat spin to Justin Tipuric, who puts George North in. And you're just like, oh my God, George North has just got 2 tries for the Ospreys. Like, we've just spent the last how long hating this guy because he played for the ones over the road. And he was good. So that, yeah. And
because I remember
dream start.
George's first game against the Ospreys. It was maybe like his 3rd or 4th game for the Scarlets. After he had that breakthrough when his first game for the Scarlets, he scored 2 tries against Benetton because it was kind of a thing he had, right? He scored 2 tries on debut for the Lions, 2 tries on debut for the Scarlets, 2 tries on debut for the Ospreys, 2 tries on debut for Wales. I couldn't tell you about Northampton, but Provence are looking very good for that first game they're going to play with him in the team. But yeah, so I remember his first game against the Ospreys, Shane Williams saying afterwards, he was his opposite number that day, saying afterwards he's had Scarlet fans telling him Georgie's going to get you.
Yes.
And Georgie did get me, in fairness. Georgie did get me.
This is a counterpoint to Shane Williams, but I love it when Shane Williams clearly sees a winger that was quicker than him because he gets really defensive and angry. Like, I'm not going to say better because it was really difficult to be a bit better than Shane in terms of raw skill. But when he sees a winger quick at that, honestly, if he ever sees Reagan Grace in the flesh, he might shoot him because he won't be able to handle it. So his next try came against the Cheetahs at home. Now, there's 2 points I want to bring up. George North only scores bangers for his first couple of few tries, right? But do you know the Cheetahs team this day?
Rabs Maxwani was playing, wasn't he? He was my favourite player of all time.
Didn't he score a good try in the second half as well, Maxwani? I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
Consolation score about 12 an hour to go. He just chips it over the top. And
I'm going to tell you the Cheetah squad from this day, right?
Okay.
And you're going to be... So, just Oxen Che, Luke said. Jacques Dutoy, a hooker.
Solid player, yeah.
Yeah. Luan de Bruin.
Yeah, decent player.
Justin Basson.
I don't remember.
Don't remember him at all. JP Dupria.
Yeah.
Good player.
Yeah, decent player.
Yeah. Junior Sapato Pocomella, who I don't remember at all.
Yeah, vague memories of, Junior Pocket. I think is he still going, or is he still?
He's at the Stormers, I'm pretty sure.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Aidan Davis at 7.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Jasper Visa at 8.
How about that? Yeah.
Would it be young Jasper Visa?
I thought Jasper Visa just appeared out of nowhere at Leicester.
The creep inspector, Sean Venter.
Oh, tell me he was opposite Tom Haberfield.
He was opposite Allen. No, Haberfield was on the bench.
Oh, he was kicking Tom Haberfield out even then.
Yeah,
kicking Tom Haberfield out the team even then.
the bastard. Tian Schoeman at 10.
Oh, good player.
Yeah.
Good player. Rabs Maxwani.
The greatest rugby player in history, man. I love Maxwani. Because I was obsessed with Mapimpi before he got in the Springboks. And then he got in the Springboks. I was like, I've got to find a different South African wing to obsess over. So I picked Maxwani because he's brilliant. I love him. He wanted a back heel flick to score against the Scarlets. Great player.
Yes,
love that
I
guy.
remember that.
Yeah.
Nico
so
Lee.
good.
Do you remember him at 12?
I don't.
Didn't he score the season before for the Cheetahs?
He might have.
Well, he's at Breve now.
He is at Breve. Bernard Jancy van Rensburg.
Good player.
Good player. Still only 27.
So
he would have been decently young then. William Small-Smith, which
good
I think
player.
is a fantastic name.
One of those players that was always like 7 out of 10 for the Cheetahs back when they're in the Pro 12. Good player.
Malcolm Yair.
No memory.
No
of that
idea.
man.
So we get onto the bench then, right? So they went for a 6-2 split. Keep an eye out for number 21. He'll come up later. So at 16 we had Joseph Dweber.
Good player. No matter what South Africans say.
What could have been. Charles Marius, or Murray, sorry. No idea. Aranos Kutsia. No idea.
No.
Volt Steenkamp.
Oh, yeah, vague memory. Yeah.
Which sounds like a Bond villain. Gerard Olivier.
Great name. No, is he still playing? He's still going at one of the... No, he's not. Okay, never mind. I have checked. No.
And at 21, a young Marnus van der Merwe.
Ospreys legend.
And I had to check, is it that one? And it is that one.
Covering the back row.
In the back row. Tian Meyer, great player. Do you remember Tian Meyer?
Only vaguely.
He was at the Sharks in 2021, 2022. Very good. And then Rhino Eckstein at the end.
Oh, yes. Rhino Eckstein. He was all right.
So that's that squad that day. And actually, if you go through the Cheetahs squads around this time, you'd be pleasantly surprised about that sort of what you see. So obviously this game was brilliant because it's famed for the rarest of things, that is an Alan Wynne-Jones double. Justin Tipperick double. And Alex Jeffries try and a George North.
Greatly underrated player, Alex Jeffries. I remember this game really well. This is maybe my clearest memory of the Alan Clark era was this match. Other than the non-miserable memory, which there aren't many.
Yeah.
I remember watching this game really well in my tiny little horrible flat I was living in at the time.
It was just, and it's just for me like one of the best. I don't know, it just is a really happy memory of the Ospreys. I love the kit, the players, like Sam Davis at 10, a fit Dan Lydia at 6, James King at 8, Tipperick at 7. You had George North in great form. I'm looking at the try now. Well, I think I'm looking at the try. No, it's the next one. So, we go into the half 22-7. Scott Williams was playing well, or I should say playing. So really fucking did that. It was just a good time. Right, I'm trying to get to the George North try. Where is it?
36 minutes. George North scores.
It is 36 minutes. I've gone past it.
Alan Wynne having scored after 7. Scott Otten after 27. Probably from a chip and chase. I refuse to be corrected.
I think North made a break for the Otten try as well, thinking about it.
He did. I think he made the initial break for the Otten try.
And then Otten just picks it up and scores, basically.
So, no, you sure it's at 36 minutes?
Apparently, according to the report. 46 minutes. Wait, no, that's wrong.
Yeah, this is the one.
Sorry,
I'm watching the highlights of the try that doesn't exist. How stupid am I? I have to leave YouTube to go to the Ospreys website to watch a try. Because the Pro 14 or Pro 12 didn't include one of the 7 tries. So, I believe this try comes off a Scott Williams kick. Or I might be lying. There's one where it definitely comes off a Scott Williams kick. No, you are right, yes, then. So, it's a lovely try. I just sort of like that. It was really nice to see George play with a smile on his face. And you get to, and it was just, Oh, yeah, it was a Scott Williams loop-in miss pass. It was very nice. It was, and it must have, and the reason I like it is because it must have broken the hearts of Scarlets fans everywhere. watching Alec Davis pass to Scott Williams to pass to George North. And I know we're going to get the comments of, "Oh, Scarlets gave you your best players," and I don't care because it was great. So, Robbie, take us through to, speaking of Scarlets 2018.
Well, this is the try that doesn't exist, isn't it? This is one that isn't out there.
Is it? I think I've got it.
Oh, okay. In that case, please, you take me through it because I haven't seen this.
I remember it, ish.
Please.
So, am I right in saying it was the 24th of December 2018? It was Christmas Eve.
No, it was the away fixture in October, I think.
Right. Okay. It definitely was the away fixture.
Because Corey Allen scores and then North scores. Or one way. Yeah. Allen's the first one, then North scores the second.
8th of October. Yeah. So this game, it does exist. It is on YouTube. Round 6 highlights. So I watched this game because it's 9-minute highlights. This is when Pro 14 were going nuts and releasing 9-minute highlights. Good Scarlets kit this year. They had the collar, if you remember that kit. Johnny McNichol was fresh on the scene. Everyone was asking whether he was Welsh qualified. So Scarlets take the lead. Then we hit back with, oh, what a shock, as Owen Watkin getting over the gain line. Robbie would have been very happy at this time. So I think we get the ball. So we're on 29 minutes now. So we get the ball wide. We're on their 22. Sam Davis plays a lovely ball, and Mason Grady's brother scores. God, what he could have been. So then we get to 32 minutes. Have you found it, Robbie? Or just share it to you? You found it.
Well, I found it. Well, because odd little. I'm not watching highlights. I'm watching the full game. That's why the highlights aren't working.
Okay. I will send it to you.
No, I've got it here. So
you got it. So if we get to, it's 2 minutes 29 on the video.
Because I was confused for a moment because I thought the highlights had a clip of Sam Davis going for his wipers kick.
Yeah.
No, it's a very nice first phase move where they hit out through. You have Mason Grady's brother slings a quite nice pass right out to North, who managed to just about get on the outside of.
He does halfpenny a beauty.
It's halfpenny,
yeah.
Johnny McNichol nowhere near, and then rides 2 tackles to get it down in the corner.
Are you saying
the TMO will love this?
Are you saying Johnny McNichol's positioning is awful?
Good,
because I am.
No, lovely, really well taken try.
It was a really well taken try, and it was very contentious. If you listen to the sound of it, they're all complaining whether he actually got it down because Nige is reffing.
Yeah, of course he is.
This is when Nige was only wheeled out for the West Wales derbies.
But he got every West Wales derby ever.
Yeah, despite the fact he was born in Clesley. So yeah, and it was a very bittersweet feeling. I think I remember of shit. Georgia scored against the Scarlets. It's like, yeah. So that was North against the Scarlets. Yastin, you highlighted this try actually in the group chat.
Yeah, swiftly moving on about a week or so later, I think. So the Ospreys were in the Challenge Cup and they had Worcester, Stade Francais and Pau in their group, which was interesting to say the least. And the first game of the group was against Pau in Swansea. And I don't really know what side Pau brought down, if I'm being
an awful one.
It wasn't a good one because they ended up on 0 points. And the Ospreys grabbed a bonus point, which was rather pleasing. I wanted to say that Keelan Giles made his return from injury this particular afternoon.
Was he injured? Was this his first ACL one?
Yeah, this was the first game back, and he had to slot in a fullback because someone went off. I can't remember who went off now. It was either might have been. Oh, I can't remember if it was Sam Davis.
Sam Davis went off. Yeah.
Yeah. So James Hook had to come in at 10, and then Giles came in at fullback.
Did he? I thought James Hook was still at 13 for this game.
Oh, James Hook was a fullback.
And I think James Hook runs a really nice decoy line.
He scores a beautiful. He scores the first try. It's stunning.
Yeah, Corey Allen runs in a nice decoy line, and then he realised, why is the pass not gone to him? Oh wait, James Hook's picked it up and scored. And then back to George North, and he just runs in a really nice try from. Was it off top of a line?
So it's a scrum.
Scrum,
I'm watching it right now. So it goes to Alid. Alid goes to whoever's at 50. I can't work out who's at 15.
That is James Hook.
It is James Hook. So James Hook's at first receiver. He plays a ball on the switch to George North, who does that lovely arc and run, and there's a nice little side step. So it's a really, really nice finish. Possibly one of my favourite European kits we've ever had, by the way.
Ooh,
I love that kit.
I think it's probably
really nice.
Mid more by the didn't they keep that kit for 2 seasons and
that was when we had 2-season deals for kits.
I think the Champions Cup the season before, where obviously there was the group of death and we drew with Saracens in that round 5-15 All Classic and yeah, that was quite a nice kit. I thought maybe not as good as the 2016-17 one, but it was it's up there.
You also had the Luke Morgan being good.
Incredible solo try.
Do you remember what this game was as well? I remember being at this game actually, and for 2 reasons actually. We were gifted some seats to sit in the West Stand, literally in the prawn sandwich seats, because we were in the not in a box, but we could go into the suites at halftime and get pies and stuff. But do you remember what the stat was with Harry Morgan this day?
He was the youngest ever try scorer for the Ospreys.
Yeah.
First player to score after the Ospreys were created.
No, for being born in this century.
Oh, okay. It was just this. Okay.
So the first player born in the 2000s to score. And I remember saying after this, I was like, this Harry Morgan's got something about him. And he was very good. Yeah, God, I do remember this game there.
And then
we're awful.
Then obviously Harry Morgan scored against Connacht a couple of weeks later in Bridgend.
Yes, he did.
That was a nice score as well.
Is Morgan Morse then the first player to have scored who was born post Ospreys inception? Or is there someone, because he was born in 2005? Harry Deves. Okay.
It's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. I'd have to go look into that properly.
Yeah.
But Harry Deves is the only one off the top of my head. So he would have been around 2004, 2005, because he's the same age as my brother. And Ospreys were 2003. So that was a great game, great kit. Where Robbie doesn't like the kit. Do you not like the kit, Robbie?
I don't mind it. I don't hate it. I don't have a particularly strong feeling on it either way, I guess.
I have what kit do I have? I have one of the European kits I found in a charity shop. It wasn't a very popular one. But then we move on to Cardiff 2019.
Yeah.
Now, I had to, again, to dig this highlight out because I could not find it whatsoever. But I found it. I'm pretty sure it's the one on 7th of January 2019. So we're a week into the new year. 2019 is upon us. Boy, did we not know what was going to happen this year. Whoa. Lads, I hope you're ready for the Southern Kings in November.
There's a lot of things to go before that as well.
There's
quite a lot of things.
Cardiff Blues in one of their nicer kits. But this is proper Cardiff Blues now. When they were crap, but were the Blues, they had heritage.
Of course, they'll always have heritage.
So, yeah, they always have heritage. So we score within 2 minutes, in 2.5 minutes in this game. Because of course we did. Scott Williams gets the first try. So Aled Davis flashes back to the open side. Scott Williams is a James Hook, throws a dummy, goes in between Nick Williams and hands off Josh Navidi for a lovely finish. And you think, hello, this Alan Clark bloke, he could be quite good, and we were just sort of playing some nice rugby. Blues then hit back with a beautiful, I think it's a Garen Smith finish off a little cross kick by Anscombe. This was also the period in which Cardiff was sponsored by Land Rover. Do you remember that?
Mm.
Good Anyway, so it's a bit of an evenly poised game. Then we get in. So Sam Davis says, "Oh, whatever you can do, Anscombe, I can do better." And then does a beautiful cross kick for North to finish it. All he does is have to catch it, right? But there is no one in that space. Takes it lovely. Who was that fullback for Cardiff that day?
Dan Fish?
No. His positioning was good. Who would have been? Who's that fullback for Cardiff? Andy Howell's favourite player.
Matthew Morgan.
Matthew Morgan. Who is in no man's land. So from there, Robbie, tell us where we head there from Cardiff, because we have a bit of a dry spell now, don't we?
We do. Through to Scarlets at the end of the season. Last game of the season, I believe.
Playoff final or playoff game.
Okay. And all to play for. All the rugby is happening here. Scarlets in the Liberty Stadium, as it still was then.
Was the Liberty.
So, scores are 0-0. It's early days. The Ospreys managed to find themselves 5 meters out after a line out. Sam Davis immediately calls it, slings it as wide as possible. And the Scarlets, classic, have decided not to defend one touchline. And it's just a succession of easy passes, and George North is completely unmarked. And over the try line, you can then see Lee Halfpenny has a look of like, wait, hold on, like what? Did we forget something? He's got the look of like, oh, I left my keys, didn't I? On his face of like, we're supposed to defend.
I'm so glad, right? I've screenshotted the amount of space that from when Scott Williams has, right? You think this must be off like transition. This must be like a turnover ball. It's not. Ospreys have been pounding the line. This is not like. And I remember going into this game. It was like because it never really happened before. This playoff sort of like, to get into the playoffs. We were neck and neck because obviously you got to remember Scarlets were defending champions, and you sort of look, and I'm putting in the chat now the amount. This is the amount of space yesterday that Scott Williams has to pass the ball to George North, and I will put this on Twitter as well to annoy Scarlets fans. I've just sent it in now. That is the amount of space that George North has to run in. This train.
The word is well for shortly afterwards. The Scarlets clear from a similar Ospreys attack, right?
Oh, it's not a clearance. I'm sorry.
Well, they bang it as long as they can. Dan Evans takes it. And remember that thing that Dan Evans of this era did all the time, which he would run straight at the closest defender and inexplicably they would always miss the tackle. And it happened all the time. And that happened. He breaks right through. Hey, our friend Johnny McNichol again. Is not interested in the tackle, fades off him. He offloads to, as McNichol was trying to fix him, to Ollie Cracknell, who was way ahead of the play. Classic scrum half line. Takes the offload, and Johnny McNichol falls over in an attempt to tackle him as Ollie Cracknell goes over. Halfpenny once again lying there befuddled.
This is George Horn learned that line from Ollie Cracknell.
Antoine Dupont learned this line from Ollie Cracknell.
Ollie Cracknell had a great game. I remember him having a fantastic game. There's also for Hanno Dirksen's try. If you skip to 70 minutes, the exact same happens. And Scarlett's end so narrow, and Luke Price just sort of looks up and says, "Shit, I've got the whole of the lower edge straight to pass."
As Hanno's going over, Halfpenny is like distraught and frustrated, and the rest of the Scarlets are like, yeah, obviously that was going to happen. We didn't defend that side. They went for the side we weren't defending. What were we expecting?
I revel in. And if you go in the comments, right, there's 2 comments, right? There's 4 comments in there. One of them is from Boris Film Studios. Ospreys drums are so annoying. There to drown the Scarlets fans only. What an embarrassment. Clearly, you've never met Aussie before. And the other one was, Ospreys could and should have won by more. They rarely had to get out of second gear. Scarlet's defence is woeful. Now, that could have been from 6 months ago, but it was actually from 4 years ago. So that was Scarlet's in 2019. Yes, Tim. talk us through the first of the Dragons?
Yeah, so a lot of rugby was played since the Scarlets game. There was a lot of things. There was merger talks, there was Grand Slams, there was Rugby World Cups, there was agonising semi-final defeats to South Africa. There was a really good George North try, which he scored Wales against Georgia in the middle of all this as well. And the attention obviously now turns to 2020, the start of the year, start of a new decade. And the Ospreys had come off of a bit of a really bad run of form, except for a bonus point out in France against Racing, which was basically the only positive of the month of December and November. And they travelled to Rodney Parade to kick off the year, which you're thinking, oh, right, that's a nice place to go to kick off 2020. And the start wasn't that bad, considering that they lost 44-0 down in Llanelli the week before. And Scott Williams puts in a rather nice crossfield kick, which George North just gathers and scores. With the phase before, with Justin Tipperick hitting a ridiculously hard line, and it takes two Dragons defenders to basically chomp him at the legs to stop him. And then the next phase, they spin the ball out, and there's a crossfield kick by Williams to North, and the Ospreys briefly led before Leon Brown scored, which was rather normal for Dragons and Ospreys.
Rare.
And well, I don't really want to talk about the last 5 minutes because I think we all know what happens there.
So then, I remember, is it 4 rounds later we play the Dragons at the Liberty?
This was after COVID.
This was COVID,
This was global pandemic was between.
Yeah, so
it was Toby Booth's first game.
Yeah, so George North finishes a lovely try. It's very reminiscent of the Island one. So it takes about 4 people to get him down. You got a lovely little whip by Alwyn Jones, actually. And scores. Ashton Hewitt was great this game. I actually talked about Ashton Hewitt on Rap on Monday. And I said, Rio Dyer is everything I wanted Ashton Hewitt to be.
Yeah.
Because Ashton Hewitt had so much promise at the start. And you just sort of like, yes, this is what Rio Dyer is. But this is also famous for George North for his first and only red card for the Ospreys.
Oh, really?
Yes. And it is one of the worst red cards you will ever see. Have you seen it, Robbie?
I will have. I can't remember. I didn't.
I will send it to you now.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a really nasty collision off a roof.
Really nasty.
It was after a Leon Brown try too, which was rather ironic considering the previous meeting between the two sides.
Robbie, I've lost your WhatsApp. I'll put it in the chat.
That's all right.
It's after the first try. After the Ashton Hewitt try. It's off the kickoff, actually. So, 13 minutes, Stephen Myler, I believe, has to go off. I want to say someone has to go off, and Joe Thomas comes on. Joe Thomas comes on. Stephen Myler comes off, and Joe Thomas comes on. And off kickoff, Ashton Hewitt comes and collects the ball, and George North, no intention of catching. It's a bad red card.
Yeah, flies straight under him.
He knew as well straight away, and this was very George North was. I think he was going through a lot at that time in terms of struggling with form. So obviously he scores the try and things like that, but it was very, it was tough. We do get Sam Parry's 857th try for the Ospreys though. Not off the back of a maul this time. But unfortunately, the game ends in a 20-all draw. But yeah, so that was the second Dragons try. He's got his best win rate and score rate is against the Dragons. I'm surprised to know. So, Robbie, we go from Dragons in 2020 to a try we actually talked about the other day.
Yeah, Worcester. The second of 2 clashes in his time away at 6 Ways. I went to the other one, and it was miserable.
Yes, it was.
I was there. Oh, that was a really, really poor 40 minutes. That was.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know.
It's terrible. I was sat right behind the Worcester sub, so I had a lot of cheering there. My favorite thing was Ben Teo had just signed, and I remember when he signed for Worcester, he said, "I'm signing for them because they're useless, and I want to like bring their quality up and be their best player." And he saw them on the bench, and like all of them were like celebrating together and like patting each other on the back and everything, except for Ben Teo was sat on his own, like off to the side. No interest in the rest of that squad, like no, cohesion with them at all. But yeah, we then skip forward.
Which one was this player? Was this the 29-28? Or no, sorry, it was 18-38.
Oh, sorry, that was the. I remember us getting battered, but I remember Alex Jeffries having a good game. However, a few years later, Boofy, that Boofy time, he's back in, and we're in a pretty good run in the Challenge Cup. But there's a critical away win needed in Worcester, and having started pretty well, we've fallen behind. It's 29-23. Actually, I think it's further behind. Yeah. So Morgan Morris scores I think one of the earliest examples of that try he scores, where he sort of spins through contact and somehow gets the ball down.
Yeah, he loves the spinning contact, doesn't he?
Yeah, right by the try line. And he's so good at it. And I think it's one of the first examples of that happening. This was kind of a big breakthrough game for him, I think, because he's obviously played, but he came off the bench here and was unbelievable, was phenomenal.
6-2 split, yeah. Came on at 62 minutes, yeah.
And was just brilliant. So he comes through, scores, gets the Ospreys from having been 29-18, so 11 points down. Morris scores, and then the Ospreys end up. Stephen Myler sends a penalty really long into the corner, and right off the line out, Ruben Morgan-Williams is kind of trailing across, and he drops it off last second to George North, who comes in at the angle, steps. I believe it's Niall Annett. Niall Annett, it is indeed, who hates me. So bursts right through, and in front of him is only the frightening form of Perry Humphreys. And wouldn't you know, he does him on the outside and goes over to score in the corner. This is, I think, when I think of George North's tries for the Ospreys, this is the first one that comes to mind for me, because it was a big moment, big player day in which he stepped up and he was fantastic all game. And then he scores the winning try. Morgan Morris then goes on and wins 2 turnover penalties in the Worcester half, which Stephen Myler kicks both of them. But on 73 minutes, North scores the winning try. And then Morgan Morris goes, "You know what? I'm not done. I want some more. I want more points to my name, or at least to Stephen Myler's name." But yeah, brilliant performance. This was kind of, I think, a big moment in him refining his form, refining his confidence under Booth, which he did, really around here. And then that carried over into the kind of Welsh shirt over the next couple of years, and then into that Six Nations, which Wales won the following year, a few months later. This was December 2020. So, 2021, Wales win the Six Nations, and he is one of the best players in that tournament. And yeah, this was kind of the start of that burst of form for him.
So I remember this game a lot because it was that very beginning of Boothie and the team he wanted to build, and you can see that. So if I very quickly just go through that Ospreys 15.
Yeah.
Actually, 23, because you see the skeleton of probably what we've got today in terms of who's there. So Gareth Thomas at 1, Sam Parry, Matt Fafia, Adam Beard, Rhys Davis, Will Griffiths, Justin Tipuric, Dan Lydia. Like that pack, Gareth Thomas, Sam still there, mainstays. Beardy, Davis probably would start now. Will Griff, Justin Tipuric, these are all mainstays in that pack now. Ruben, Myler, Prothero, Williams, Watkin, North, Dan Evans. You're like, yes, hello. And Owen Watkin had to go off very early, actually. On the bench, Nicky, Tom, Lloyd Ashley, Ollie Cracknell, Morgan Morris. Morgan Morris was still probably on the fringes a bit this game.
Yeah.
And you look at that Worcester team, and they were no mugs, that Worcester team, right? They were still, they're probably poorly coached, but you look at that, there was a lot there, So you had 15, Milani Nanefai, the immortal Perry Humphreys, Ollie Lawrence was still at 13, Francois Venter, Nick David, now inexplicably the Harlequin starting fullback, Nick David, Jamie Shilcock, nice guy, good player, Gareth Simpson, somehow at Saracens. the first Ospreys player, Mark Thomas, in this team. The man who chop tackles Christmas trees in hotel lobbies. Isaac Miller, Richard Palfman, George Merrick, Justin Clegg, and then a cracking back row of Ted Hill, great player, Sam Lewis, good player, and Cornell Dupree. And then I'll skip the bench, but Ashley Beck at 23, who cuts the trademark Ashley Beck line in this game. And every time I watch it, a tear comes out because I'm like, he loved Worcester, Ashley Beck.
Yeah.
He lived and breathed that club, and you're just like, oh, why? So, yes, then take us on to try number 11, which is Dragons in 2021.
Yeah, so back to Rodney Parade. Again, the Ospreys had lost to the Scarlets the week before, but it wasn't as bad as 44-0. I think they lost by about 2 points, which was rather gut-wrenching at the time. And then they played the Dragons, and everyone thought, oh, right, this is going to be a really tight, close game, and the Dragons are probably going to nick it in the last minute, like they tend to do. But it wasn't, as pretty sure the Ospreys run out rather neat winners near the end. There was a crucial rolling maul with about 5-10 minutes to go, which they scored off, which was crucial and probably won them the game. But the North try that was scored was, again, rather vital. That kind of swung the momentum completely the other way. And it comes off a line break from Owen Watkin. And obviously he was playing a 13 as Kieran Williams started at 12, who went off with a concussion, and Joe Hawkins came on with one of his first appearances. He didn't have many before this one, so it's kind of like a real test for him off the bench very early on in the Welsh derby. But Watkin makes the break and then delivers a really neat inside offload to a George North, who was running the scrum half line for some reason, and North just runs it in and scores. It was a very nice try, and but the first half try by Matt Prothero was even better because Ivan Phillips was basically acting like a fly half, which was rather impressive considering the Ospreys were down to 14 men at the time, so that was a nice score. But the North one was good as well.
It's the thing you were saying, James, about after George adapting his game throughout his entire career. This is him running a line that he wasn't running a few years earlier, him kind of learning to run those great support lines, which is something that becomes a feature in the tries after this, is more and more of them are when he's on the wing rather than the centre, he's typically running far more kind of support lines, getting close to the action, being there in the right place at the right time.
And, well, obviously the next try kind of builds on that in a way.
Yeah.
Sorry, I need to get on to the next try. So the next try is Connacht in 2021. Now, did we talk about this game the other day in the group chat? I think we did.
It's a really good performance, this is. I remember watching.
Yeah, so this is the last time I think we won in Galway. One of my favourite performances in the Toby Booth era. This 2020-21 season is one of my favourite seasons in general. I love the kits we had. A lot of kit chat this today from me, but I have both the kits from that year. I absolutely loved them. So it starts off 8 minutes in. We play some lovely out the back stuff. Milo puts a lovely double pump for George North, who puts some nice soft hands of Dan Evans, who brings it back inside then to George North, who goes over for a lovely, lovely try. And you're thinking, because at this point, a lot of people were very much like, oh, Toby Booth is setting this stall up. We want to be a very forward-orientated team. And then we played some lovely rugby this game of just really just putting it through the hands so nicely. And this is the infamous, the discipline goes to shit, basically. And we go into that half-time there. I think it's like 17-5 down with a man in the bin, with Justin Tipuric in the bin, actually. And then, so 46 minutes in, so we're attacking left to right. Milo puts a lovely ball in for Prothero, who's on fire at this point in his career. He'd really found form in this Ospreys team. He plays a lovely floated miss pass over to North. And North does that thing. He does a little stutter step and puts a lovely ball back inside for, I think, Kieran Williams, who then gets it back into Prothero. And you just think, this is, I think, one of the first examples of that never say die attitude, that finding a way thing from Toby Booth. And then, inexplicably, Reece Webb scores 2 tries.
Yeah, I remember Reece Webb having a kind of broadly terrible game until he scored his first try. Or maybe it was just a frustrating patch. But I remember him having kind of being really frustrated with him, and he scored, and I was like, "Go, okay, fine, don't bring him off then." And then he scored his second, like, okay, bonus point in the back. You justified your decision, Toby.
Fuck you, Reece Webb. And it was just that finding a way sort of attitude, and I really, really liked it. This next try is one of my favourites. It's one of my favourite games in the booth here, actually. So, Robbie, you go.
Glasgow.
Yes.
So last season, the one kind of emphatic win we've had over the last 3 seasons, bizarrely against Glasgow, who, it was funny, there was a thread on the Rugby Union subreddit recently for what's your team's worst ever loss. And of course, as an Ospreys fan, there's plenty. There's Stad, there's Biarritz, there's losing to the Kings, there's 44-0 to the Scarlet. There's loads. I saw a few Glasgow fans mentioning this Ospreys game being their most frustrating, awful game because it was complete one-way traffic the entire way. And they are, at one point, they are 23 down, 20 points to 3 down. And an hour is gone on the clock. They're pounding away at the line. Dan Lydia gets sin-binned for repeat infringements because, God bless him, he was a hero. And then instantly, the Glasgow lose it. They end up pushed back. They knock the ball on around halfway. And from the scrum, the Ospreys sling it wide, the penalty advantage given, and Michael Collins goes for what I'd call a speculative chip over the top, which manages to find grass, bounces up perfectly into his hands in the kind of way you'd call as planned, where he flicks it instantly, proper, lovely quick hands inside to Jack Walsh, who's just come on, who beats his first man, looks wide, and slings it right over the top of the covering players to George North, who for some reason goes to step 3 players on his way over the try line when he could have just dived. But he gets it down anyway and scores the 3rd try of the bonus point lot.
Yeah, it was.
Ruben scores the bonus point a few minutes later.
Great game. I was at this game. It was great. Peak Michael Collins, bald Michael Collins.
Yeah.
At his full power. The all black kit. We'd gone to the all black and all white kit that year, which upset and pleased a lot of people.
That is one of my favourite Ospreys kits.
Yes, I love the Umbro stuff. I will, no bones about it. I loved the Umbro stuff. When we went to that all black, Glasgow were top of the league at this point, if I remember rightly.
Yeah,
they were having a great season. This was no mug Glasgow team as well. Tuapolotu was in there. I at one point vividly remember, and I think I texted yesterday this actually. I screamed at Ryan Wilson and told him his podcast is shit. And he sort of turned around and couldn't really say who it was. But I knew it was a moral victory that I told Ryan Wilson his podcast was shit. This was a Max Nagy breakout game.
Yeah.
He had that lovely break at the start. He does that signature sort of break, and then Reece Webb stupidly knocks it on because he's useless. Or that he was useless at this point.
And also, Owen Watkins spent 10 minutes at blindside flanker as well.
He did.
And they won scrum penalties out of it. It wasn't even it was just, a back just making up the numbers in the back row. They won 2 scrum penalties out of it.
One of the best Keelan Giles finishes.
Which came from a really interesting Owen Watkins rip tackle, because it should have been a penalty to Glasgow. But
not that one. The first one he scores, where it comes off and he just dives in the corner like a proper winner's finish. The second one was absolutely a penalty to Glasgow because it was right in front of me, and all you could hear was what's his name, Jakob Piper, say tackle, and Owen Watkins clearly rips it. And I remember being quite active on the Rugby Union subreddit at the time because I used to post all the Ospreys team sheets.
That was you.
Just for the karma, mate. That's what I was doing.
Those 9 upvotes every week.
With people randomly commenting saying, shit, he's still playing. And then, and it was clearly a penalty, and it should not have stood. So that was Glasgow. One of my favourite games, one of my favourite tries. And then we go into Dragons 2022. Now, this is the only one I haven't watched because I can't remember it. I actually physically can't. Is this the one at Rodney Parade?
Yeah, this comes after about 35 seconds.
Yeah,
I know it now. I think
it's a two-phase strike play, I think, if I remember correctly.
So, again, if we're talking kit chat, the nicest Dragons kit, it's that purple and it's the purple and white one. Now, this is where we talked at the start about the URC highlights, right? If you go onto the official URC highlights, it starts when Ospreys are 10-3 up. So if you want to see that first Ospreys try, you can't. I'm sorry. So yeah, this try comes off. It's literally the first kick of the game. So we managed to win the ball back off kickoff. Reece Webb shapes to go left, and then comes back to the right. Alan Jones is in that first receiver position, pulls it back to Max Nagy, I believe, to Jack Walsh, who runs a beautiful Jack Walsh line. Like he runs this line so well. Puts on the gas, plays a lovely miss pass to, no offense, Logan Morris, if you're getting that ball, you're getting tackled. Plays the ball to George North and a miss pass, who canters in after 35 seconds. Yes, Tim, do you remind everyone what the score of this game was? Do you remember it?
I can't remember the score. I remember Nicky Smith throwing the interception pass right to Rio Dyer.
He did, yeah.
That happened. Owen Watkins scored the consolation try as well.
Yeah.
Which Jack Walsh nails the drop goal conversion after kicking the ball dead about 3 minutes previous.
Yeah.
Yes, this was very much in Jack Walsh's hot and cold era.
Something like 32-25 the Dragons, I think it ended.
32-25, yeah. The Dragons ended on 13 men.
Yeah, because the Ospreys had a chance of a draw, and Michael Collins kicks the ball downfield when the clock is in red, and you're thinking, why has he kicked that one away?
But it'd been the Jack Walsh had missed touch from 5 meters out when we were back within 7 with 5 minutes to go. Then Rio Dyer scores immediately afterwards. It was a hugely frustrating game.
Yeah, it's probably like Dragons are responsible for all the low points, I think, in Boothie's time.
Yeah. All trips to Rodney Parade.
And then let's finish on the final try in George North Ospreys. What seems to be George North Ospreys' career.
So far. Looking forward to his hat-trick against Sale.
Yeah. When he punches George Ford in a
Battle of the Georges.
Yeah. So yeah, Lions away. So I mean, what a try.
Yeah.
What a day.
Yeah, this is
talk us through it. Talk us through it, Robbie.
Oh, just a very, very simple try. First phase, Dan Edwards takes it at 10 immediately, and Harry Deeves runs a complete kamikaze support line. He just runs straight at someone, and they're like, God, that guy looks mad. He looks like he's going to tackle me, and commits to him completely, allowing George to get kind of on the outside of his man and just ride the tackle through, break through the kind of, the old kind of coaching adage of you want to run up branches, not trunks of trees. Brushes off the arms, goes straight through, swerves around the fullback and scores in the corner to keep us in a game which we looked like we weren't going to be in for some periods at some points. It looked like it was starting to get away from us. And then George North, scores to put us back in it, back in the lead, actually, just as the Lions were starting to take control.
And in peak George North fashion, injuring himself while doing so.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had to come off like very soon after this because he'd done some neurological damage to his shoulder.
Went on to miss the Scotland game, opening round of the Six Nations this year.
Yeah. Because that game started it was a bit of a dream start, wasn't it? It was obviously we went 3-0 down after Morgan Moore sealed off. Then they had that yellow card, which the first yellow card was for it was the elbow, wasn't it?
Yeah, on Deves.
Yeah, which is the second time this year that Harry Davies has been elbowed in the face by a South African man. I don't know what he does to these people. Then Owen Watkins scores that beautiful charge down try from that defensive pressure.
First visit to their 22.
Yeah.
Hadn't had a phase in their 22.
Yeah, so 24 minutes. 24 minutes. It's just, it's that first phase try. We hit nice in the line out. George North shapes for the dummy. I think just does enough with that dummy. And he does that thing, like you said, Robbie, he just hits them arms and you can't stop him from there.
No.
And the great thing is there is support there and the support lines are great. Yeah, does he score any more tries this year, do you reckon, if he plays?
I would not be surprised. We have
got Dragons at home.
Yeah. Which feels like his safe bet. It's a kind of farewell try. Potentially his last game at Liberty, unless we make the home playoffs.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, because Judgment Day away.
Yeah.
It'll be nice. I remember I was at that Alan Wynne-Jones one against the Dragons, which we all sort of knew, and then when he waved us off, when he got subbed, you were all like, shit, yeah, this is his last one. And again, I posted that on Reddit, actually. I need that karma. And I remember Alan Wynne-Jones had a Stormer that day. He made a lovely breakdown of right-hand touch.
No, it was the Dragons were playing. The Stormers are different. Never mind, sorry. Shoot me in the face.
I hate you. But yeah, you just hope that for George. You do, and he deserves it. Like, I know 15 is a nice number to end on, but 16, 20 would be better. George, score 5 tries inexplicably before the end of the season. Put George North in the back of Moles.
It's settled now. No, hat trick against Sale before getting sent off for punching George Ford in the face. and then, one try against the Dragons. Maybe squeeze one against the Lions or something, off the bench, maybe.
Yeah. Comes on
Get
the
20
minute.
Nice run number. Yeah.
So that was George North. That was his sort of time as an Osprey. Obviously, he's still got a few games left, but it's safe to say that 48 games, 15 tries. Yeah, good luck to him in Provence. I really hope he does well on Saturday. We are running out of time. Let's very quickly talk Wales on Saturday. Lead that. So George North starts at outside centre, comes back in. Owen Watkins dropped from the squad completely. With Adam, and Adam Beard retains his place as any sensible person would say he would, along with Gareth Thomas as well, which would mean that Adam Beard has started every game of Six Nations, which annoys many people. But if you've watched him for the Ospreys, you'll understand that he absolutely should have.
Yeah, all for Wales, indeed. Yeah. How well he's played.
Interesting bringing North and Tompkins back in. I really thought he would have stuck with Watkin. The only silver lining is we might see Watkin against Munster.
Yeah. Which would be a big boost if we do get him back.
Really big. Yeah, Boshoff was great, but having Watkin and Keith is just it does so much for our defensive line.
Yeah.
Yeston, what's your thoughts on this team very quickly?
Interesting. Obviously, bit of a kick in the teeth for Watkins for playing really well, and then not being named in the 23 at all is, it's one of those. Obviously, good to see George back in for what is his final test match, and maybe pairing up with Tompkins that has worked so well, especially last year during the World Cup. But yeah, the Adam Beard, the non-Adam Beard supporters, I should say, that don't really expect why he plays for Wales. This Adam Beard had a try assist last Sunday against France with a bouncing offload to Rio Dyer before that try assist, he pinched the line out, and then after the try assist, he managed to completely stop a rolling maul because that's who he is. And you can question his carrying game, but that's not that's not Adam Beard really. You don't if you're relying on Adam Beard doing your carrying, there's something wrong with your entire. That's why I kind of like see it as. So yeah, it's nice to see the two Ospreys boys up front, and then obviously George at 13. But I'm really looking forward to seeing Menoncello play. That'll be fun.
Oh,
maybe not
I
for
cannot
Wales,
wait to see this Italy.
but nice to see. It'd be nice to see Menoncello play because I think he's excellent.
Robbie,
Yeah.
you have some very strong feelings about that replacement bench. Talk to me.
The Wales bench.
Yeah,
I don't think it's good. Like, I don't think that's a strong bench, lads. I mean, yeah, we're deep into the podcast. It's okay. No, there are good players in there. I worry about that in a game that is essentially must win for Wales. That front row is incredibly inexperienced. Harry O'Connor hasn't played. Yeah. So yeah, 2 caps between them. And one of them is Kemsley Matthias. Who, look, I'm sure is a lovely man, but as a scrummager, so I worry massive about the scrum, especially when Spagnuolo's been phenomenal off the bench every week for Italy. He's been a real force for them. Obviously, Will Rowland's fantastic player. Kieran Hardy, I rate higher than most Welsh fans. Mackenzie Martin, I like a lot, but very unproven at this level again. And then Johan Lloyd, I think we've seen in the England game, but then I think particularly the last 20 minutes, or the section he played against France, he failed to manage that game for me.
He was awful.
Yeah.
I know you don't want to.
I don't want
to say be honest and say he was awful.
Yeah, he was. The decisions he did make were questionable, and those that he didn't make were the big issue. I think there was a lot of keeping playing when he didn't need to, of prompting things that led to mistakes. It felt like he hadn't learned lessons from Twickenham that you hoped he would learn in a couple of weeks. And then Mason Grady, fantastic player offensively. I think defensively he's still working it out a bit positionally as a 13. Great winger, great in attack in all areas, but defensive positioning at 13 needs some work. And I think there's areas to target in the last 20 minutes if it's still a tight game for Italy.
Yeah, I have to agree on all points. I would have. I said on Rapid, it's big end of term vibes. For me, there's an argument to start Grady just to say fuck it. Adams is, for me, out of form. I honestly would have been lucky to start Mackenzie Martin just to be like, do you know what, mate? Do it. If there wasn't so much pride on the line for Wales, we would have seen a lot more changes for me. I think we would have seen the big stuff. What's worrying me now with Gatland is I'm looking to the summer and I'm like, what the hell squad is he going to pick? Who is he going to have left? Because how many more are going to go? Can we really see Talupe coming back? Is Talupe coming back? Who else of that ilk is still there? Is he going to call up Cuthbert? Probably not. Is he, how youthful is he going to go? And is he playing youth for the sake of youth? I'm really scared for that front row. And any person who plays front row, any person who knows what rugby is, you have an inexperienced front row on the bench. You paid the price for it.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes we saw against Edinburgh, we brought on an inexperienced front row, right? Especially Lewis Lloyd, who's not a scrummaging hooker. Edinburgh, or Sean Everett in particular, is the coach that makes the least amount of changes. And he leaves Bowen Venter on. So, things like that. So when Spagnuolo does come on, either Gareth Thomas is putting in 70 minutes and same with Dylan Lewis, or we're getting minced for the last 20, 15 minutes. And that's what I'm scared about. But I don't want to end. I'm not ending on that negativity. No.
Well,
yeah.
I just think next week there might be some interesting notes for the podcast. Because I'm quite possibly having an interest. I mean, no, I am. I'm not sure if I can talk about it or not. But this time next week, I will have had an interesting Wednesday. Very much from an Ospreys point of view.
Yeah, Robbie's got some very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Planned. So once we know more, we can have some man on the ground stuff. We can have some sort of like insight into what we're trying to say, really. But there's some exciting things coming. Put it that way, for both fans of Squidge Rugby and all three fans of the Ospreys Area, which is just us three.
That is us.
It's just us three, yeah. So we'll be back next week. Maybe maybe not on the Wednesday, but maybe at some point to preview some proper rugby.
Yes.
The Munster game.
I'll be there as well, which is nice.
Yeah. Robbie will be at the Munster game.
Know if I've been since I started joining in with this podcast. I don't think I've been to a Ospreys game since.
When did you join? You joined Scarlets, pre-Scarlets, wasn't it?
Okay, yeah. So I think the Sharks was the last game I made it to.
That'd have been a couple of weeks before the.
Yeah, because that was the third game of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes, then you'll be at the Munster game as well.
Yes, if uni assignments have gone well, I will.
Yeah, that is true. So I won't be at the game because I have a league deciding game that day for my actual local club. So if we beat Winchester, we win the league. I'm sorry, Tom Homer. I'm going to beat your home club. I think it's Tom Homer.
And Will Homer, his brother.
Will Homer, yeah. I'm sorry, the Homer brothers.
Won't Homer, more like.
Yeah. We're going to beat Winchester. So but we'll
more like lose Chester.
Yeah, Booty Bingo will be back.
Yes.
Although I don't know if it'll be out. It might be out on the Wednesday. I'm hoping it's out on the Wednesday. It's really helpful the Ospreys put the press conference before we record the pod.
No, the game's on a Friday night, so it'll be. If it's not the Wednesday, it'll be the Tuesday.
Beautiful. So Booty Bingo will be back, and hopefully we'll have some more contract and signing news because admin, I know you're listening. You told me it was this week. You lying, right? It's now Wednesday, and I've tweeted you every day. Right, so hopefully we'll have some more contract re-signings and hopefully maybe some new signings.
As well as hopefully an exclusive something, even if it's just an anecdote.
An exclusive something. It could be what do the Ospreys
really easy to put this together, what this could possibly be. What
is in a vending machine at the Liberty Stadium?
I can have a look. Have a look. Last time, wait, no, hold on. I can't imply any. I've just implied what's happening next Wednesday. Look,
you can guess what it is.
You can guess what's happening.
Bethan, we're really sorry. Please don't hate us. But it'll be great, and Robbie, enjoy whatever it is you're doing. So that's us. You can find us all on social media at @yes_Thomas21 at Squidge_Rugby.
Just Squidge Rugby.
Squidge Rugby. It's been a while since I've done this. And at Ospreys Irie, you can find us on all the good all the good podcast networks, wherever you get your podcasts from. Give us a like, give us a rating. Get involved on socials. We've been growing rapidly. We're close to 400 followers. I took this page over in when was it? Yesterday, in September.
Maybe a bit later than that, October, November, something like that.
No, it was Connacht. I was here for Connacht.
End of September.
Because you weren't here for Connacht. This was in the dark days. and it had 80 followers. So we've actually grown this brand really well. And people like us, which is not something that can be said for us. So yeah, we're people like us. People want to get involved. So yeah, we're nearly up to 400 followers. So give us a share, do all that stuff. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
He's got it off the Hassler.
He's got shit, yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Ospreys Harry podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please subscribe, rate and review wherever you listen to us, as it really helps spread the word. You can find us on all the usual social media channels or email us on welshregionalrugbypod@gmail.com. And remember, whatever the question, rugby is always the answer.
Sports Social Podcast Network.